Hey guys, it's Thor, and today we are going to be talking about the May 2022 predictions. And I feel like this month is going to be a pretty intense month. There's a lot of things going on this month. I had forgotten so many things that were about to happen. One of the things I didn't bring up in my April predictions was the fact that there was a solar eclipse right at the end of April. And that solar eclipse happened in the sign of Aries, and Uranus is there in the sign of Aries with transiting Rahu. So it's really interesting to think about the prospect of what that means, because Uranus represents revolutions, it represents innovation, but it represents definitely catastrophic events in the sign of Aries. And remember, when these eclipses happen, whether they be solar eclipses or lunar eclipses, because we're in eclipse season right now, remember that these kind of transits can affect up to 3 to 6 months into the future. So that's really important. The decisions are really important to consider, is that these transits affect long-term consequences of things, okay? So when we have a solar eclipse happening right on Uranus with revolutions and so forth, we could see revolutions around the world, maybe another Arab Spring or something like that, which would be quite intense. So guys, I'm very happy to be here, and let me take us to my presentation really quick, guys. I'm still learning this software a little bit. First thing I want to let you guys know is this is not meant to replace advice from a qualified financial planner, and it's for entertainment purposes only. I use the sidereal Vedic zodiac. So you guys' signs, a lot of people go by the month and day. That's the traditional way people find out what sign they are. With Vedic astrology, it's calculated using the sidereal Vedic zodiac. So I want you guys to be aware of that. It may be different than your Western tropical sign. So always be aware of that, guys. Next thing I want you guys to know is that please like and subscribe. Obviously, my goal now is 10,000 subscribers. And right now, guys, if you're interested in your own reading, it's a really good opportunity. I'm doing 40% off of all readings on my website for this beginning of summer, I'm kind of calling it. So if you guys are really interested, check down below and you can go to my website and book a reading, either an MP3 audio file or a live Zoom consultation if you guys want. There's a couple options there if you guys so desire that. And so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the world situation is pretty crazy. And if you guys watched the first week of May, you noticed the stock market was being hit pretty, we were taking a big hit there in the stock market. So let's take a look at that aspect there. So the stock market has been dropping, guys, and I think it's all due to this Saturn aspect, guys. I think this is what's causing all the stock market problems right now. So April 21st, 2022, the Dow was at 35,424, and look, it's dropped almost 2,000-3,000 points. And as I make this, it's May 7th, but the Friday was May 6th, so it's at 32,000. Still, we're having these problems with inflation. Inflation is very high, 8 to 10%. Faster than wage growth. Workers are seeing real wages decline. Okay, so I want you guys to be aware of that. And I've explained this in some of my other Tik Tok videos and my live streams. There is, I say, if the inflation's at 8-10% and the average worker only gets about 2-3% raise a year, that means that they're actually taking a pay cut as far as real wages are concerned. Your lifestyle is actually going down as the inflation is eating away whatever earnings you get. So it's really dismal for people that are working right now. It's not a really good picture. Also, guys, one of the things I wanted to show you is, I'm going to go back to the presentation really quick here, was, the wars continue in Ukraine. That seems to not be letting up. There's no deal. There's no compromise. So that's always in the background. Especially, guys, Rahu's in Aries right now. Remember, Aries is the sign of war, okay? And Uranus just got activated with this solar eclipse at the end of April. So could we see something that gets maybe gets a little crazy, especially Uranus can represent things like atomic energy. I mean, we are in a little bit, I mean, not a little bit, we're in a somewhat treacherous situation, guys. So I want you to be aware of that. I don't say this to fearmonger you guys. I'm just saying this that, you know, don't take this war in Ukraine lightly. Some people might go, oh, it's, you know, it's this war that's happening far away in some country half across the world. You know, it doesn't matter. But yes, this is going to affect the whole world. Okay. This isn't just like some problem that we can go turn on the TV and do the armchair general thing and just think it's way far away, not affecting the world. Okay. So let's go to, so another thing I want to tell you guys about, this is a lot of metaphysical circles discuss this, is this idea of the Schumann resonance. Okay, so the Schumann resonance measures solar activity and the vibrations happening on planet Earth. So this is a really cool aspect that I want you guys to see. Is I actually took that image off of Twitter, and the Schumann resonance on, as of today, May 7th, 2022, you see that it's really intense. So a lot of times when we see these Schumann resonance spikes of energy, guys, we notice there's a lot of changes that occur in our reality. Okay, so the sunspot cycles and what's going on with the sun is affecting our reality. I want you guys to be very aware of it. And right now we're in the middle of a solar cycle that's going to bring in a lot of changes. Okay, and I'll probably make another video about that, about how these solar cycles actually affect even political and social changes. It's very interesting science, guys. Now, let me show you guys, we're going to talk about the Saturn transit, because I think that's really what I noticed affected the stock market. Okay, you notice, guys, Saturn entered Aquarius on April 29th, 2022, and that day there was that big 1,000 point drop. Okay, and it's going to be in Aquarius all the way till July 12th, 2022. Let me show you guys what that looks like, because I want to show you guys. I got a chart. Basically, this is the chart of the planets of today as of May 7th, 2022. So I want to show you guys, this is the chart of today. So Saturn just entered right here, guys. This is Aquarius. So it just entered there. Usually it transits a sign, just so you guys know, it transits a sign for about 2.3 years. Okay, and it usually, you know, generally it's going in that direction, right? Until it goes in the sign of Pisces. But I want you guys to be aware of that this transit, it just entered Aquarius, but it's only going to be there for a few months, guys. And the reason why is it's going to be going retrograde. So in May, Saturn's going to be actually slowing down and starting to go retrograde. And then what we're going to see is, and I'm going to fix that a little bit, we're going to see Saturn go back into Capricorn for the second half of 2022. Okay, so what we're seeing right now with Saturn being in the sign of Aquarius right now, this is just a little sneak peek, guys, of what's going to happen in 2023 and 2024. Okay, we're only going to get like a 2.5 month taste of what it means for Saturn to be in the sign of Aquarius. And so that's collectively, obviously, and that's going to be also in your individual charts. You need to look at where Saturn. So we're getting just a little bit of a taste here. Let me go back to the other screen. So Aquarius, guys, is the natural 11th house. And the 11th house is networks, markets of trade, networks of association, political rallies. It represents the masses, the common man, the commoners. And Saturn, guys, whenever Saturn enters a house, it's always going to be the reality check. Okay, it's the one where if anybody has any illusions or delusions about the situation, Saturn's going to be the one that gives you the reality check. Okay, hands down. So Saturn is all about cold, hard truth, cold, hard facts in this three-dimensional reality. But Saturn pretty much rules this 3D reality that we're in. When you think of the structure, the underlying physical reality structure, okay? Like Saturn rules, for example, skeletons, okay? And that's what holds up your body. So guys, for example, and I'm using this of why the stock market, we might see some drops here during May and June while Saturn's transiting Aquarius. The reason is, and I'm giving you guys an example, for example, if markets are overpriced due to speculation and fraud, Saturn will lay down the gavel and correct it, even if it's painful. Saturn has been very bearish with this week, guys. This first week that's been in Aquarius, it's been very bearish, okay? I expect more of this bearish type of activity happening until July. And of course, that's going to affect cryptos, okay? That's going to affect everything. I do believe that, you know, what they're doing with the interest rates right now, the Federal Reserve is raising the interest rates to try to control inflation. That's going to be temporary, guys, because I do see some extreme market fluctuations. And I think this raising of the interest rates is very temporary. I think they're going to have to drop them back down. The issue of what's going on, and I'm going to talk to you, you know, this goes further than the month of May, but with Saturn going back into Capricorn, guys, there's going to be, my prediction is there's going to be some sort of lockdowns or something going on the second half of this year, or at least they're going to attempt to do lockdowns, okay? There may be some sort of government intervention during that time when Saturn goes into Capricorn. So we're talking about anything having to do with war, anything having to do with the pandemic, it could be returning because Saturn's going back. So I want you guys to be aware of that. You know, I think there's going to be government intervention with whatever's happening during that time. There's going to be government intervention. And I am, at least in the US, guys, I think there's going to be more stimulus checks because I think something's going to happen where they might be trying to impose some sort of lockdowns again. That's very much possible. All right, so let's go back to my presentation. So anyways, I feel like, guys, just the next month or two, I do feel like it's going to negatively affect markets. I think it's going to be very temporary, though. I don't think this is necessarily the big crash. I feel like the big one's going to be around 2023. I think that's when we might actually see the big shebang. Now let's talk about the lunar eclipse, guys, coming back on May 16th. There's a lunar eclipse. I did see that someone commented in the chat about the star Arbol, which the lunar eclipse is going to be hitting, which is a very treacherous star. I didn't really look into that too much, and I need to study that a little more, but I know Joni Patry, she uses the stars. But that is very interesting. And one of the things I noticed, guys, is let me show you where the lunar eclipse is happening so you guys can get an idea. There's so much to cover, isn't there, guys? There's so much to cover. So if I clean this up, guys, the lunar eclipse is going to be happening here, guys, in the sign of Libra, okay? So there's K2, right? And Libra, if you guys see the sign Libra, it represents the natural 7th house, okay? And 7th house, besides being marriage in an individual's chart, 7th house represents the law, like law courts, like even things like the Supreme Court could be represented by the 7th house. Because think of what the symbol is for Libra, guys. It's the scales of justice, right? The scales, right? Now, if you guys are living in the US, some of you guys remember what happened in the last week or two. There was this big Supreme Court leak about this decision where they're possibly going to overturn the Roe versus Wade decision, which has been around for 50 years. Now, I'm not going to get political about that, but I find it very interesting that this comes up as K2's transiting the 7th house, and that's where the lunar eclipse is happening. And I feel like this is going to be very destabilizing to the country. This is not good, guys. This is a very, very hot button political issue. People feel very passionately about this decision and about that. So it's like, it's just going to bring in more division, and that's my worry about this. So I said, you notice, guys, that the decision happens right when K2's transiting the 7th house. Remember, guys, an eclipse can affect even like a few weeks before the eclipse, and we're in eclipse season right now, okay? So Libra's the natural 7th house, represents scales of justice. Notice there was the big Supreme Court decision leak about the Roe versus Wade decision in the US. And K2, guys, it has like a destabilizing effect. It has like a scattering effect, usually in the house that it's in. Rahu's more like of the focus. Rahu's like where all the energy is usually going. Ketu shows where the energy is being scattered. Okay. So what I'm predicting, guys, at least, you know, for the near future, I feel that there's going to be more court decisions because of this lunar eclipse happening in Libra. I feel like there's going to be a lot more unrest due to this feeling that the public feels that the courts might feel disconnected from the public. So there's a feeling of unrest. Okay. And consider Saturn's going to be transiting the 11th house, guys, as this eclipse happens in the 7th house of law and order. So I want you guys to tie those two together. There's a lot of people that are very angry and upset about this. This is really, really serious. Okay. We may see some unrest, some social unrest during the month of May, even into the month of June. Okay. So this is very much on the docket for us as a collective consciousness. Okay. The next thing we got to talk about, guys, is I can't forget to tell you guys it's going to be Mercury retrograde for the month of May. So you guys, let's talk about Mercury retrograde, because it happens about 3 times a year, and each time it happens, it's usually about 3 weeks. So we got to talk about the Mercury retrograde. Let's take a look at my presentation again. You guys, Mercury retrograde, it's going to be May 10th. So mark your calendars, May 10th, 2022 to June 3rd, 2022. So it's going to be most of the month of May. And Mercury is going to go retrograde in Taurus. Remember, guys, Taurus is the natural second house of value, assets, and so forth. Okay. So if we go to, let's show you in the chart again, so everyone can learn astrology. So you see Mercury's right over here, guys, in the sign of the second house there, the natural second house of Taurus. And usually, you know, usually it would be going this way, right? Usually it's going to be moving that way. And it is going to be going retrograde the other way. It's going to be in the sign of Taurus the whole time. So I want you guys to be aware of that. But what does second house have to do with? Think about it, guys. Assets, asset prices. So that's why I feel that there's going to be a revaluation. And that's where I think we're going to see the stock market do a drop. I don't feel like it's the big drop necessarily. We could see a pretty good size drop. But I feel like more of this economic recession, I feel like more of the effects of it's going to be felt in 2023. Okay, I feel like there's going to be a drop. Maybe they're going to be able to correct it a little bit. And then I feel like 2023 could be when we see more of the recession coming in. But there's a lot of indicators showing recession. By the way, guys, Mercury retrograde, it's good not to get married during a Mercury retrograde, buy a house, buy a car, sign a contract, start a new job, start a new company. You usually do not want to do that, guys, during a Mercury retrograde. And the reason why you guys don't want to do that stuff during Mercury retrograde is your thinking is not usually clear during that time. So you want to avoid anything where you're signing a contract, making a deal. Usually what happens when if you say you get married, a lot of times the marriages don't even work out. It kind of is a bad luck in a way to buy a car. If you buy a car, it most likely is a lemon you buy, you know, so you want to be careful because Mercury retrograde is kind of known as bad luck as far as starting new projects. Now, if you absolutely had to get something, well, you have to get some. You know, if you have to get a new car, you have to get a new car. But if you have the power to not, I would recommend not getting it. Okay, let's go to the presentation here. Guys, we're going to talk about one last thing, which I really think is cool and exciting. So I am a big follower, guys, I'm a big believer in that we're not alone in the universe, that there are extraterrestrials, that we're being visited from other worlds. For example, when the military in the last few years recently admitted that they found UFO, the Tic Tac UFO, and they have footage of it. So we're definitely not alone in this universe. And I feel like this year, guys, with Jupiter transiting the sign of Pisces, I feel like there's going to be a lot of revelations coming out about mysterious things. And let me show you guys the slide. So this is more, to me, this is more fun. Okay, we've kind of got a little serious about the stock market, but let's talk about something a little more fun. Okay. So I'm saying, I'm titling this, guys, Watch the Skies, Countdown to Disclosure Timeline. I feel like we're on the disclosure timeline, guys. The big thing I think that's going to push some secrets coming forth, guys, is the Jupiter-Mars conjunction happening May 28th, 2022. And let me show you guys where that's going to be in the chart so you guys can, again, see where it is in the chart. So Jupiter is currently in the 12th house of Pisces, guys, in the natural zodiac. And by the end of the month, Mars is going to be joining Jupiter, okay? And then they're going to be conjunct on May 28th. So I feel like this is really forcing Mars and Jupiter they're actually friendly planets. So it's not negative, but what Mars tends to do, Mars is a hot planet. It tends to bring things to the surface. So that's why I feel that there could be some revelations that come forth during the month of May as well. Okay. Now, revelations, it doesn't need to necessarily be UFOs. It could be, not necessarily though. Pisces is the 12th house of the natural zodiac. This is a sign of mysteries and secrets, the sign of the astral realm and things beyond ordinary perception. Expect more leaks and disclosure of secrets. So when I'm talking about secrets, guys, and I'm talking about leaks of information, it could be all types of secret information. It doesn't necessarily have to be with disclosure, but you know, it could be. That's why I put in my presentation there, who knows, you may see some unexpected visitors in the skies. So you might want to, you know, when you're out at night, look up at the sky and see if we have any friends up there and say hello. Because you know, this Jupiter in Pisces is going to be really cool, really intense, and we might see some more disclosures coming this year, even from the government, because of this Jupiter transit through the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is all about revealing new things, new information. So guys, we've got a packed month. So I feel like there's a lot of potential. We have the financial issues that could be affecting us, stock market drops. The war prospect is still, guys, that is still very much on the forefront, that this war could escalate into something more, especially with that solar eclipse that happened in the sign of Aries with Uranus there. So that's very much flavoring the month. And of course, Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, we got that Mercury retrograde. So we have a lot going on this month. Let me go check and see if we have any comments in here. Let's see. Seeker is asking really fast, how about if you're born with Mercury retrograde natally, is the effect still the same? Okay, Seeker, I'm going to answer your question right after Liz Parsons said, May 16th is Al Ghul, the head of Medusa, pure evil. Well, we might very much see, guys. Like, I do not deny that this month, there could be a pure evil definitely in this month with the star Al Ghul. And I'm going to research more of that too, so we can talk about it in some other YouTube videos. But let me go back to that question of what happens when Mercury's retrograde natally in your chart. So guys, whenever you guys have retrograde planets in your chart, and I'm going to show you guys for a second, some of you guys that want to learn astrology. If a planet, for example, I got Jupiter retrograde in my chart, a lot of people have at least one planet retrograde in their chart. Usually what it means, that planet is highlighted during their life. So there's some sort of special, something you need to focus on with that. So Seeker, if you have the planet Mercury retrograde in your chart, there's going to mean there's a focus on speech and communication, learning to communicate with others, learning speech, okay? Because there's something of why that planet's retrograde. It shows that your speech, your intellect might be developed a little later on in life, okay? So maybe you had issues with speech or with learning things when you were younger. And when you're older, you know, usually into your 30s and 40s, that's when the retrograde planet actually becomes stronger for you. Okay. So people that have retrograde planets, the planets actually get stronger as you get older. It almost becomes like a stronger planet. You know what I mean? That it's like a highlighted planet where you grow in strength because you have to focus so much of your energy in developing that planet in your chart. Okay. So retrograde planets are always going to be special planets that you're working on that planetary energy within your lifetime. and the results of the planet are delayed. So for example, guys, for example, if another example would be if, say, you had Jupiter retrograde, it could represent having kids later in life, since Jupiter is the natural karaka of children. So I want you to be aware of that. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. 567890 says, you think, right, housing market correction or crash August 2022? Definitely. I mean, there could be a huge market correction or crash around that time. Like I'm saying, this whole Saturn thing, the Saturn and Aquarius thing, I do feel like it's problems for the stock market. So I do feel like I am getting this feeling like they're going to have to drop the interest rates again. Like, they're trying to get inflation under control, but you can already see that them raising the interest rates is already having a negative effect on the economy. And that at least the people that the powers that be are not going to let this thing completely, well, who knows, completely go belly up. So I do feel like eventually they're going to have to lower the interest rates again. I feel like we're going to be going the negative interest rates. I feel like it's going to be a lot like what happened with Japan. You guys are aware that no fiat currency system has survived history. No fiat currency system has been around for 1,000 years for us to discuss. Fiat currency systems always end up in some sort of demise or death spiral. That is the nature of fiat currency. It's not backed by anything, And I know if it's backed by the good faith and credit, that's all fine and dandy. But, at the end of the day, we want currencies to be backed by something if we want them to withstand the test of time. Now, that's a little bit of Thor's opinion, but we'll talk more about that. Let's talk. Karina was asking, who is your Vedic teacher? I did take a class. I did take a class with Sam Geppy. And so I did take the first course with Sam Geppy's school. I also had my own teacher named Ramaji, who also helped me learn Vedic astrology, lots of books. I also follow a website, barbarapajan.com. So a lot of personal studies, books, read all the books you can if you guys want to learn Vedic astrology. But I did take that formalized class, and then obviously I've been studying it. I've been pretty much devoted to Vedic astrology for a good 8 or 9 years now. So that's where I've learned it. Let's see. Sharon is saying we need gold and silver. I agree, absolutely. Let's see. And derivatives, 567890 saying derivatives markets looking precarious. Well, yeah, this whole bubble, what you guys really want to look at is, okay, so the problem isn't necessarily the rising interest rates, but if we get into a sovereign debt crisis or a corporate debt crisis, or we get any defaults on the debt, that's when you need to watch that there might be a quick bubble pop very quickly. And we know that a lot of corporations right now, they're very highly leveraged in corporate debt, and governments around the world. So if we do see defaults on the debt, we could see this thing spiral really fast. So I want you guys to be aware of that. Thank you guys for joining me. And of course, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And I will be talking to you guys very soon. I'm going to produce some more videos, at least one per week. And I've been keeping my word for the month of, I did for April, I believe. So you guys have a really good week. I should be putting out more videos. I think we're going to do some more cryptocurrencies. And then also, I think we're going to be taking a look at some people's charts. And obviously, people are very interested to know what's going on with President Biden. So we might take a look at that chart, and we might learn and see what we can predict with everything that's going on. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and take care. Oh, right before I leave, guys, I saw some other questions. Hold on. Let's see. Will you start teaching Vedic astrology? Sharon is asking. Just so you guys know, I am thinking about having a Vedic astrology class that will probably end up being Oh, we're gonna look Elon's chart. That would be really good. Just so you guys know, I probably will be doing some classes, which I will be doing on Zoom, and they will be like sign-up classes. So I'll let people know when those classes are going to be available. Thank you guys, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one.